Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Women in Math and STEM, where our mission is to reach out to as many professionals, aspiring professionals, students, whatever you name it. We try to reach out to them, who essentially support the initiative of bringing more women and young girls into the STEM field. So, with that being said, as always, feel free to open up the description or transcript to better follow along, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hello, and thank you so much for being able to make it today and talking with me on this specific episode. Just to begin, do you mind sort of briefly introducing yourself as well as telling us how your interests in international business and computer science began and sort of what those experiences have looked like so far?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Angelina. My name is Gabrielle Sutherland. I am a high school senior from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a homeschool student and a dual enrollment student at my local community college. And I am planning to double major, as you said, in international business and computer science. So I always wanted to start my own business, and it was something that was really kind of encouraged as a kid, entrepreneurship. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I had different ideas over the years. And then in 10th grade, when ChatGPT was released, I really fell in love with computer science and I fell in love with AI and machine learning. And that led me to developing kind of my ideas for what I hope to do and how I hope to use my double major as a way to kind of start my own business someday.
I see. I was wondering, I've also noticed that you've had a lot of experience in hackathons, so I was just wondering how that sort of shaped your skills or perspectives on technology and innovation.
Yes, so hackathons really showed me how collaborative tech can be. As a kid, I thought that tech development was a solo project and very kind of compartmentalized. So you had one person who was only doing front, um, like full stack development, which is everything, or someone who's only doing front end, which is the things that you actually see on a website, and someone who's only doing back end. And that is true in tech, but there's so much collaboration as well that you have people in marketing working together with people who are doing IT. And that really helps me to kind of see that it was more than just, like people working by themselves in little cubes. Like I think that's how we often visualize tech. And so hackathons really helped me to see that by working with teams, working with my friends, and that we all are working together for a shared goal of creating a project, regardless of what our official role is.
I see. I've also noticed that you've had a lot of extensive leadership experience, so I was just wondering what that sort of looks like and how exactly do you balance sort of your technical as well as leadership expertise?
And is this directly related to hackathons or just in general?
Hackathons as well as just in general.
Okay, so starting with hackathons, I am a full stack project developer, but I've also done a lot of work with project leads, and I'll just start by defining what those two things are. So as a project lead, a lot of the work that I do is just spanning across the whole project. So making sure that I and my team stay on track. It doesn't necessarily mean that I am the captain of the team because you don't often have that, especially in hackathons, but it just means that I'm the one who's making sure that we're meeting deadlines, who is setting up pages, and who does a lot of work on both front end and back end. And not every project lead does that, but that's just how I choose to do it and what I'm comfortable with. When it comes to pitch lead, the work that I do there is mostly about our branding as well as talking with judges and our final presentation. And so for the project lead part of it, it's a lot more technical. And I typically just focus, as I said, on the project overall and developing it and helping out, especially in the beginning stages, and then just overseeing and helping out where I can. But brand identity and brand design is kind of my guilty pleasure. So whenever I get a chance, I'll work on logo design, brand kit design, making our presentation, and things like that. So it's kind of balancing both.
That sounds amazing. I was also wondering if you could elaborate or talk a bit more about the voter registration website you worked on, that one best idea. Sort of like what
Sure.
inspired this project, what challenges did you face, and sort of like where the project is now, etc.
Sure. So that was my first hackathon ever. That was back in June, and it was through one of the local high schools. And so I'm only 16, so I'm not able to vote. But my project was inspired by talking to classmates and friends at my community college who are able to vote, who are 18 and older. However, they didn't feel educated enough on the politics, the candidates, and the policies to do so. And they felt that their vote didn't really matter, which, we all know that it does. And so I, along with my amazing teammate Luna, worked on developing a database of local candidates from Maryland who were running in local, state, and federal for local, federal, and state office. So that could be anyone from a district attorney to a state senator or a representative. And so we built a database. And one of the challenges that we had was that that was the first website I had ever made. The only programming experience I had before that was with Python. And so there was a really, really big learning curve because I dove right in. I had a really ambitious project. And we didn't at the end have a full final project, but the work that we did really helped me see that I could actually succeed in tech. And that really helped me to go on to do work that I'm doing now.
That sounds like a really amazing experience. I was just wondering, with like all this experience that you've had, like whether it be through hackathons or like creating websites or like like creating new initiatives, I was just wondering when it comes to programming, what your favorite role has been and sort of what do you really see yourself pursuing in the future?
So my favorite role is full stack programming. However, I eventually want to work in biotechnology and machine learning. So predicting, diagnosing, and treating chronic diseases. So a lot of my work there is still going to be with full stack development at the beginning, but then eventually moving into more of a corporate position where I will be developing products, but also working with investors, business leaders, and things like that, which is where the international business side of everything comes in.
I see. And then also I was curious about like what sort of future projects do you see yourself doing or like long term or I guess this sort of relates to your long-term career goals or like what exactly you want to do in terms of like initiatives.
Sure. So I just launched one last week. I was at the Georgetown Hackathon, Hoya Hacks, with a bunch of my friends, and we won second place overall for a project that we made called Fuego Report, which is a way to help um, self-report ICE raids and ICE officers in your community to help community members know what's going on and also to keep undocumented immigrants informed so that they can have papers in case you have a green card or you're a resident or anything like that, and also to provide them with resources in case they need shelters or immigration lawyers or anything like that. But it's also just to help community members in general, like teachers, pastors, anybody who is affected by these raids. So that is one project that I really hope to maintain as we get more information from the new administration and something that I want to keep over long term. And then for other work, I'm currently developing an educational technology system, and that should hopefully be released by December of this year, as well as an app that I'm also working on, which will be out by about July of next year. And those are two of my latest projects.
That sounds really awesome. I've also noticed noticed that you and your family also start or have an educational consulting firm. I was just wondering like what has been your experience like running it or being a part of it, like anything meaningful, as well as like what sort of you have you learned about like entrepreneurship and creating positive impact on your community or with others?
I'm so glad you asked about that. So we started our educational consulting firm, I'm sorry, back in December of 2021, so almost 4 years ago now. And when we started, we were commissioned to write a book. And then from that book, and it was a math-based historical fiction book with a Black main character, and our goal was to really help to promote advanced math for Black and Brown students and to help them see that math doesn't have to be scary. And that actually really impacted me because up until about 10th grade or so, I was really afraid of math. I didn't have many good experiences with it growing up, and it was something that was scary, and I was like, I can't do it. And I'm going to avoid anything related to it. So up until that point, I only wanted to do English or something like that because that's what I thought that I could only do. That's all I thought I could do. And so our work with writing the book and then developing curriculum, and then from there we helped run a summer camp, and now we have a YouTube channel, podcast, and other things like that. And all of our work together helped me to see that I could actually do math and that I was good at it. And that helped to encourage me to continue on with my own dreams. And then it also really helped it forced me to learn material that I never would have learned because if I wanted to help others, then I first had to understand it myself, if that makes sense. So that was another really big motivator for me. And the entrepreneurship part, running that business help to prepare me to run the businesses that I'm starting now and the ones that I hope to start in the future because I have those resources, those networks, but also I have a lot more knowledge now about how to run a business.
That sounds like an amazing experience. And then speaking about sort of like novels or books as well as a pod like your podcast, I was just wondering like how exactly do you balance all your creative endeavors on top of your hackathons, on top of like your academic commitments? It seems like a really busy schedule.
It 100% is. The great thing about it is that because I was homeschooled, I had a much more flexible schedule. And I was able to incorporate a lot of the work that I was doing for school into these other projects, which really helped me. So for ninth, 10th, and part of 11th grade, we're really focused on writing the book and the business. And as I've gotten older and we're transitioning into more online materials for our educational consulting firm, it means that I have more time to spend towards my own personal endeavors, along with the hackathons, college applications, and all those kinds of things. And I also only had a few in-person classes. So most of my classes were taught at home or online up until 11th grade.
I see. And then I was wondering like whether it be like academically, personally, socially, etc. I was wondering like what inspires you or like what keeps you motivated and keeps you going.
My mom, in all honesty, she taught me for years when I first started out. She was the main homeschool educator, and she was really the one who always pushed me. And when I was younger, I didn't appreciate that as much. I thought she was really strict, really hard on me. But as I've gotten older and I'm a lot more self-led now, and I'm doing a lot more of my own schooling and finding my own resources and projects and things like that, I really appreciate all of the hard work and the perseverance and all the things that she taught me and those values she instilled in me. Because now, as I'm older and I'm preparing to go off to college, I'm really seeing how it's paying off for me. So she is my main motivator. And I guess I am my own second motivator here because I always want to be the best version of myself and because I have all these goals for who I see myself as at 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old. And so I try to remind myself that sure, it's not always fun right now when I'm working or doing school or at hackathons and I'm tired, but I'm doing this to make life better for future me.
That sounds like a very like mature and like amazing way of thinking about like life and that's really cool. And then also
Thank
to
you.
end off, I was wondering if you had any advice, tips, tricks, honestly anything for younger students, but particularly students who may not like who may feel discouraged or may not see themselves in a certain space, who might be interested in like pursuing computer science or business innovation in the future.
Two things, and this is really directed because I know a lot of your focus is on women in particular and girls. Um, you're going to have to fight for your space. You are going to have to fight to be in the spaces that you want to be in. That is the reality, especially in technology and computer science, that you are always going to have people who say that you don't belong in those spaces. And you have to learn to be okay with taking up space and okay with being the one who is the odd one out. Because you actually are helping others to see that they can be there too. And the more that you continue to grow and to shine in those spaces, the more you bring others to you. You're like a light, and the moths are coming towards you. And as you continue to grow and develop and continue to prove yourself, oh, for yourself, first and foremost, and then for others, you will bring others to the space that you're no longer the only one there, and that you become the majority, which allows so many more ideas and projects and diverse opinions to come into the space, which just makes everyone better.
I see. Sounds good. And then also to end off, I was wondering if you had any last words or anything you'd like to share with our audience.
Take every opportunity you get. That's the main thing I want to say. Take every opportunity you get. Angelina, you took the opportunity to start this podcast, and that is going to pay off so much in the long term. So, for everyone else, take the opportunity to start that club or do that activity or send that cold email. All of those things, you have no idea that one yes could change everything for you. So, that's, I guess, my final words for everyone to just take every opportunity you have. Thank you
Sounds
so much for having me.
likewise. Thank you so much. Your insight was greatly appreciated and absolutely
Of
phenomenal.
course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.